Okay, I'm going to send out a notice to the guild just advising them that the raid is starting soon. So open up my raid tools and go to the invite section, and you can see there is a notice button and a time. So I press notice and you'll see that there is a guild notice that goes out. Okay, I'm going to start my raid, so I'm going to open my panel and I can check the raiders. So for example, this one isn't coming, so I can remove that. I can also select additional raiders to add in down the bottom. So by clicking on the name, I'll add an individual, or if I click on the rank, it will add all raiders within that to my CSV list up the top. Once I've done that, then I can click invite, and you'll see that in the background I have started the raid. It's automatically set at 25 based on the default in the raid setup, and what I can do now is to see who's missing. I can click on report missing, and that will give me a list of those that weren't in raid, and I can start to invite additional people who were missing or anything else like that. So yeah, so that's the raid setup. If I click on raid setup, I can see that I've got my defaults. I've also got a list of raiders that can be used for my disenchanter. I'll leave that blank for now so you can see another feature later. And I can define my leads as well. So I've got tank, heals, ranged and melee leads, and they're going to be responsible for assignments later. Okay, I'm just going to go through the auto mark feature. So basically the idea is that we can set marks up for targets that will be retained throughout. So in this case we're doing Lord Maragua, so I'm going to mark up all of my tanks. So I'm going to sit and define raid marks and the target for them. In this case we've got 3 tanks. Basically what this does is when in combat it will retain this every second. It will reset these marks. What I do suggest is you click set. It will only update this during combat, so if you want to set them prior to demonstrate stacking, you can do so. And you can also set up a profile. And that will basically save it, so you'll be able to retain that throughout. Alright, I'm going to do a ready check now, just to highlight the auto consumable checks. You can see that there's whispers going out advising people that they haven't flasked up, etc. or fed. So okay, I'm just going to show you some additional features. So on the consumables side of things, you do have a screen where you can view the top fails. You can see here that it's counting flasks, elixirs and food. So with the elixir, the count is if they've only got 1 on. And so you can see the top here, but you can also send that list, or people can request that list by whispering a command to you. So that's the consumables, and you can clear it obviously. going to go over the looting. So obviously I'm master loot. So basically the first thing that happens is there's a raid warning that goes out advising everybody of the loot. That can be turned into either a raid notice or a raid warning, up to you. And there's also a loot commenced. Leave that up until you're finished. And basically you just go through your loot. So Alt left clicking will bring up the bidding screen. In this case we're going to be doing bids versus a roll. So I'll do a bid. That sends out a raid warning. People can then bid you with main spec or off spec. In this case most of us have got this gear, so there won't be a lot. Given that I have a DE set up, I can click on the DE button and that loot will be auto allocated to the DE person without a DKP record. Again, Alt left click and start bids. In this case I've got a bid come in for a main spec roll, or a couple. The score is a combination of their priority on that loot as well as their rank and DKP value, or the DKP bid. So I highlight that person and click award, and that amulet has gone to that person with a raid warning just saying grats. These notices can all be customized as well in the options. So I'll do my last one. In this case there's a fair bit of interest. You can see the whispers coming in with off spec or main spec. In this case Nodge will get it with a bid of 200. This is using a DKP ARVS system, and the settings for how you divide up your DKP is all in options as well. So I'll award that. And we have one person on this quest. So now loot's finished. I click yes, and what this is going to do is restart WoW. The reason we do this is we, especially in Australia, have issues with disconnections in fights and WoW crashes and stuff, and so what this does is saves your LUA file so that you don't lose data, and also it will send out the data to all of the other people running the mod, so you have a backup. So just going through a few more of the screens. So in terms of the DKP and loot, so you can see the current DKP levels sorted by tune by default, but you can click to view by DKP total. Also gives you your rank and attendance percentage. Now currently the attendance percentage is just an amount loaded in from the using the DKP loader, but that will eventually be managed within the add-on as well. You can view of members that aren't in the raid as well. This will give you the entire DKP table as downloaded. You can force sync the DKP, but you shouldn't need to, given that loot will do that automatically when you restart. Adjustments can be added, so you can add a reason. So if someone's being a fail, you can deduct them an amount. The target is actually everyone in the guild, because you could be deducting people who aren't actually in the raid. Penalties is a way of calculating who failed to sign up, and again this is downloaded from our website. So the sign up, and also if they signed and didn't show up. In future I'll look at incorporating this into the calendar if I can. Awarded loot, so this is so far the loot that's gone out, the cost and who won it, and obviously the date and the option to delete loot. Deleting the loot from the awarded table will reimburse, assuming we haven't archived it, it will reimburse that raider for that amount of DKP. Exceptions. So this is a list of things that that even though they are considered epic, they will not go into the raid warning. They will also not trigger the raid warning and lockout of for looting. Auto loot. So these are 3 of the most recent or more recent types of loot that we just automatically give to the master looter, who drops it into the guild bank later on. You do have the option to load the defaults, so or you can add your own name replacements. This is again for us in the case that we have people who have gay characters in their name, so we've got to, the way that it imports is a bit different to the way that the add-ons will recognise it, so basically allows you to map it as you load DKP in or transfer DKP. It does a translation for you. So that's the loot sorts of functions. So I've finished up my raid. I'm going to do a bit of cleanup. I'm going to check that the people who raided all finished the raid. So if someone leaves early for whatever reason, they get removed from the list by hitting the X. We also check our subs, make sure that the subs were actually online, so we can see that Slacker is. So he'll get DKP as well. At which point, just to make sure we do an export of the data. This is for importing into my website for DKP, attendance, loot, etc. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is the guild bank repairs. So basically what we can do is set the ranks that we want repairs for a night, and then we can set the amount, the allowance, and click allow, and that'll update the guild ranks accordingly with the total amount and also per the ranks. The only issue with this at the moment is if you have some ranks that already have guild bank repair rights, it will clear them prior to setting it, so that's something I'll fix in a future version. Next thing I'll talk about is thank raid. This is just a little thing that I do every now and then, and this was actually the first feature that I built up as an add-on, but I brought it into my raid tools. So effectively what this does is you can send out a thank you message to everyone who's in raid. General raiders will get the following with a placeholder of name. Whoever was the master looter will get the first message, as well as good work on loot. In this case, these are all customizable, of course. And then if the person happens to be dead when you do it, it just sends a little note at the beginning just to say a bit of a lol at them being dead.